Hi, hello, and welcome to episode 18 of The Knitting Esquire, a YouTube channel all about my knitting and crafting adventures. It has been a hot minute since I last caught up with you. I am excited to be here. I apologize for my absence on the channel. I'll go into it. Welcome to 2025 and episode 19. I have so much to catch up on. I need to catch you up on the end of 2024, everything I accomplished with my crafting hobby here in 2024, as well as my plans for 2025, what's on my needles now. I have some finished objects to share with you and a couple of acquisitions that I've made recently. So, we have a pretty packed episode here. I hope you have a beverage of your choice, some knitting to catch up on, or other crafting. And I guess let's just go ahead and dive right in. My name is Candace, if you didn't remember. You can find me over on Instagram as Candace Sue ESQ Knits and over on Ravelry as the Knitting ESQ. I will have all of my contact information down below for you. So just click that little chevron and you will see all of those details along with all of the makers that I talk about in today's episode and all of my Ravelry project pages for my finished objects as well as my ongoing whips. I think that really covers all the basis for the admin goodness that I have. So let's go into, do we start with finished objects or do we wrap up 2024? Um, let's go ahead and do my wrap up of 2024. So I believe in one of my future, no, sorry, one of my previous episodes, I had talked about my crafting journal. And so this is the first year that I went all out with it. I've always kind of kept one for at least the last 5 or 6 years. But this year I really truly made a thing out of it and I love it so much. You can tell that it is loved and used. So this is my whole I guess I don't diary journal of everything that I did in 2024. And then I have recently begun 2025. So I will just kind of give you a brief show and tell here. Every project that I worked on in 2024 has its own project page. So it starts out with something like this. I put in all of the details, who the designer is, the needles, the yarn, when I started it, when it was finished, and I made sure to keep tracking how many pairs I had completed up until that point. Some of them were even for summer sock camp. So I had my year-long kind of goal knitting of completing 24 pairs of socks last year in here, as well as just keeping track of how many socks I completed for the summer sock camp with the Crazy Sock Lady. And then on the other side of the page, I have the ball band as well as a snippet of the yarn. And then for Christmas in 2023, my husband got me a really cool like Polaroid. It's not really a Polaroid. It's like a mini printer and it's a sticker printer. So I kind of take the backing off of the pictures and then just stick them right into the notebook here. And then there's an app on my phone. So I just take the picture on my phone and it prints, which works great because I also use that same picture on all of my Ravelry pages. So you guys are seeing the same thing if you're checking those out as what's in my little handmade journal here. So every single project is in here, which leads me to kind of wrap up my year of making in 2024. So I think I finished a pair of socks, of course, as my final pair project for 2024. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit out of order with my finished objects and just kind of show that one off while I talk about it here. So my goal for 2024 was to complete at least 24 pairs of socks. And I think sometime in maybe August or September, I had achieved that goal and kind of made a big deal about it. So I got to share that with you, and that was awesome. Um, I continued knitting socks because I love to knit socks. They're fast for me. I usually get a pair done in about a week. And it's just so easy to take them on the go. So all in all, I ended up finishing 34 pairs of socks, which for me is a fantastic number. Um, I do work full time. I actually have a pretty demanding work life. And I had a lot of travel in 2024, more so than I ever imagined, really. It wasn't a lot, but it's a lot more than what I was used to. So that's increased over the last year, um, which makes for great knitting time on the plane, but also makes for very busy time and squeezing in knitting here and there. So that way I also have time to spend with my family. But nonetheless, I would say on average, I'm working 58 to 60 hours a week, with everything that I need to get done. And so it just takes away from my knitting time. Luckily or unfortunately, however you want to view it, I am a true like 5.5, 6 hour sleeper. Um, that occurred over like COVID times that started happening to me. It doesn't matter when I go to sleep, 5.5 hours hits and my internal clock will automatically wake me up. It doesn't matter if there's an alarm or not. So if I go to bed at 9 p.m., I am up at 2:30 or 3. There's no way around it. So it's just what happens. So I do take that time, the quiet time in the morning, as my time, and that's when I do get knitting done for my day. Sometimes when I sit down on the couch in the evening, I'll have enough energy to muster out a few rows, but most of my knitting time is in that window in the morning. So that's just a little bit about my schedule. Tangent, sorry. But so my finished object here is also my final object for 2024, and that is my Freckled Whimsy Advent socks. And so, voila, beautiful. I started these just when you're supposed to for Advent knitting on December 1st and finished them on December 24th so I could wear them on Christmas morning. I started the heel or the cuff on November 30th just so I could have that done and ready to go and start right in. And I got, as you can see, there's like a little tiny bit of green right here. That green matches this top green. And so you can see I got all 24 colors in my foot, which works out perfect for my size. And the heel, toes, and cuff are all with the mini. So a little bit about the pattern. This is the vanilla sock pattern on US 9 circulars by the Crazy Sock Lady. I knit these on a US 1 on my Addi Turbo Rockets, which if you're a OG, you know that that's my favorite needle. For all of the new viewers, welcome. And that is my favorite needle is a US 1 Addi Turbo Rocket 9-inch circular needle. So I just sit there and knit round and round and round. Standard 2x2 cuff here for 20 rounds. That's my standard cuff. I do 60 rounds for the leg. The gusset is whatever it ends up being with I do the 14 stitches or 14 row count for a slip stitch gusset here, heel flapping gusset, and then 55 rounds until I hit the toe. and then I just do the toe decreases from there. And that is perfect on 56 stitches all the way around for my size 9 US woman's shoe size. So that is my Freckled Whimsy socks for Advent. They brought me so much joy. In fact, I fell behind on my other Advent project, which I will talk about, and maybe get some advice, opinions on my next steps for that project. So this really got me through the month of December, along with another pair of socks that I made, which have already been gifted. So I can't even show you those as a finished object. But for Christmas, I gifted a pair of socks to my youngest son, who absolutely loves knitted socks. He is very knit worthy. My oldest is also a knit worthy, but he likes a hat more than the socks. And so my little one got socks for Christmas. I I don't even think I took a picture of them at this point in time, but in one of my previous episodes, I don't even know which one it was. I had started a pair of like the world's simplest mittens for him, using a Freckled Whimsy. Um, I think it was a Wednesday Club from the Netflix series Wednesday, self-striping yarn, and knit him a pair of socks out of that same yarn. So I ended up ripping out the mittens. I had only gotten one done anyway, I believe. I think that sounds right. They were going to be too small for him by the time that I ever finished it anyway. So no shame in my game. Frogged those and knit him a pair of socks instead, and he has worn them nonstop. So that frog of the mittens was totally worth it, to see him enjoy the socks. So those were pair number 33. So those were the ones that I had finished alongside, but before my Advent socks. And then so overall in 2024, I knit 34 pairs of socks. I did not go through and really highlight all of my other finished projects for the year. However, every start of the month, I have like a page where it says the beginning of the month, and then I did highlight all of my projects that I did complete in that month. So in the month of January, I had completed 3 pairs of socks and part of the Taylor Swift Knit the Eras blanket that I was doing, which is still in WIP format. So, that's what happens. But overall, I ended up finishing the shawl that's on the back of this chair this year as well. I think there was maybe a sweater in there somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe this was my year to avoid sweaters. I know I had started my favorite adventure sweater that I was turning into a cardigan, which I will be picking back up. It's been staring at me. And so once I start picking that back up, I'll add that to my WIP rotation and share that with you. And then I have an adventurer wrap that I started for Advent, which I'll go into, and ended up, it's still on the needles. It just got to be too much with everything. I was barely keeping up with it. So I didn't want to feel so stressed over the month of December. So I really just kind of settled in and focused on my Advent socks. And I ended up finishing 2 pairs of socks at the beginning of December. So my catching up on 2024 is also highlighting the finished objects that I have to share. So we'll just kind of keep this part as both 2024 recap and finished objects. So I had started, and let me see if I did this correctly. Yes, I did. Okay. So I had started on November 12th, a pair of socks. This is also a Freckled Whimsy sock colorway, and it is part of her Magical Mischief Club, which was a Harry Potter club. That club has since been canceled, which I was very sad about last year. So I'm kind of cherishing the rest of the socks that I have left to make on my Magical Mischief or Spells and Things club colorways. So these ones are on the Splendid base, which is an 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon base. They are called There's a Bogger in My Wardrobe, and they are amazing because it is totally Professor Lupin, and then the wardrobe and the whole scene of like when Neville Longbottom imagines his grandmother, her wardrobe on Professor Snape. It's fantastic. These make me smile. And I finished these on December 9th. This was pair number 32 for 2024. Again, 20 rounds, 2x2 rib. There's something on there. 60 rounds for the cuff, 55 rounds before I started for the toe decrease and then the toes. And they actually line up pretty darn perfect on this one. 56 stitches, which is the size small. And this is the vanilla sock pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. You will see a theme. It's called laziness and easy and on the go, mindless, fantastic in the round knitting. That is my life. So no complaints by me. And then the last pair of socks that I finished in December, started them in November. I feel like I may have said something about this on the last episode. That one was just prior to Thanksgiving when I last recorded. And so I was getting really excited because we had just seen or were just about to see Wicked. And I had decided to purchase the Dragon Horde yarn colorways for that movie to take with me to knit at the movie, and I did, and it's a great long movie, perfect for in the round knitting. So once again, vanilla socks. This is a 20 round 2x2 rib cuff, and the colorway is just wonderful. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at this camera. I'm trying to fix the heel here. There we go. So this is pretty darn, it's a little dark here. It's pretty true to actual color. It came with 3 minis and yeah, 3 minis. And so I did this fun little blip at the top with all 3 colors, this main colorway, and then I used a mini for the heel, and then finished off with using up both of the other minis on the toes, and they match. So once again, 56 stitches, US 1 Addy Turbo Rockets Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. I started these on November 22nd, finished them on December 8th, and this was on her Myth sock base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. And the color is called Popular. And this was pair number 31 for 2024. So I really should take a picture of these before I take them off my sock blockers and show you my next one, but I'll do it afterward. Actually, I take that back. I did take a picture of these. Huh. Look at me go. So I have my Advent socks I have not taken a picture of yet for the Ravelry page, and I have another pair here. So, okay. And last but not least, I have another pair of socks. Can you believe it? I'm sure you can. So I had signed up for 4 Advents this year. That's not unlike me. Eventually I'll get to it. Just like I'll get to it. But I also just love the art. It looks like art on the walls in my little crafting nook here. And so not only do I like to knit with it, but I also really love to just see it. It brings me so much joy, all of the colors and prettiness and squish factor that I get to wake up to and look at every day. So there is no shame in my yarn game. Huh. So as part of my Advents, I had decided to do one of the weekly ones, which I had never done before and loved it so much. Um, Not only did I love the actual makers like take on the theme, the colorways are absolutely phenomenal. I haven't shared them. They're hanging up. I'm not going to share them because I would have too many things to share with you. Um, and um, More importantly, it came with like some fantastic goodies in this box. It was just so perfectly curated. I loved it so much. So, um, this is a new maker to me. I have never used her yarn or seen her colors before. I don't even really know how I stumbled upon it. I think somebody may have posted something somewhere at some point in time. And I was like the first, I think she's told me I was the first person to sign up for this. So that's how much I was excited for it. This is the Winnie the Pooh. It was a weekly, I think Saturday we got to open up a new skein. So I had 5 skeins, sock sets, really. I got her sock sets. Um, so the first sock set I decided to do, we were heading to Michigan. I knew I was going to wrap up my kiddos' Christmas socks while we were there, and then I would only have my little, like, it was like 5 rounds a day on the Advent knitting. And so I needed another project. And my husband told me to pick this colorway to start with because we were going to gray, cold, icy Michigan. And so I chose the colorway Rather Boggy and Sad as the main color, and the mini coordinating color is called Eeyore. And they are amazing. I love these. This yarn, I have never knit with a fingering weight yarn that is as plump as this. Um, It's definitely thin enough for fingering, but it has the plumpness of sport weight. It is just like the spring, the bounce. It is phenomenal. And my stitch definition is like amazingly awesome. And again, Crazy Sock Lady uh vanilla sock pattern on 9-inch circulars, US 1 Addy Turbo Rockets, 20 rounds for the cuff, 60 rounds for the leg, 55 rounds for the foot before I decreased for the toe, and I do the size small 56 stitches. This is on an 80% superwash merino base and a 20% nylon, and it is done up by Dying Wishes Yarn Co. So just phenomenal. You should really go and check out what she has. Maybe try even getting a mini or something like that and just trying out this yarn base. It is phenomenal. I started these on December 23rd and finished them on January 10th. There was we got really sick on our way home from Christmas and in Michigan, and so we literally started with my youngest one on Christmas Eve, and it lasted until like the day or two after New Year's Day amongst the rest of the family. So we got a lot of relaxing in, but I was just not feeling great, and so knitting did not happen a lot. But nonetheless, I have a pair of socks and they're amazing. So that wraps up everything for 2024. I am not going to do a montage of everything I knit, um, because that would be 34 pairs of socks and a couple of shawls and maybe a hat or two. I don't know what else is in there anymore. I would have to go through each month and kind of check to see what else I've done, but it was a lot of socks. So 2025 has been started. I always start off my books with like whips to be finished. So this is kind of what I'm carrying in with me. Shame. And then my project goals, I tried to keep them. Look at Florida Fair entries on there. You all know I didn't do that. The fair starts in like a week or two. So maybe if I pick that back up now and knit on it just a little bit, it'll be done by next year. Oh well, we'll get there, right? And then I decided to go and get a little sticker packet with the months and everything just to kind of spruce up my month pages here. And as you will see in my whips, I already have a new one started. So I'm really excited about my fresh notebook here. I'll link this down below, the books that I use. I just get them off of Amazon. I think they're like maybe $9, so they're not terribly priced. I really just liked that it's kind of like the Moleskine journal, but it's not as expensive, and the paper's actually a little bit thicker, but I really like the dotted pages so I can be creative however I want. And I also love that it has its own little bookmarker in here, so that way I can just kind of pick up where I left off. So that is the beginning of 2025 and the end of 2024. So let's move in to my works in progress, since I had already started talking about that. I just carried this over into the Winnie the Pooh bag that I created a while ago. I shared this before, but I made this bag and it's got the 100 Acre Woods in here as the lining, and it just makes me happy. And now I have 4 more sock sets to knit that can live in this bag, and I love it. Oh, I also have my Goosey Fibers advent calendar from 2024. That's also Winnie the Pooh themed, and so I will have a project going eventually for that as well. But for now, I have one finished sock and a whip for the rest. So this one is, I had decided this year, well, last year, 2024, that I also wanted to pick up the princess yarn dyeing that Mandy's Makings was doing. So I have followed it along every month except for, I think the month I ended up missing on accident was the month that she did Merida. So, this one is her Moana colorway. I love them. They scream Moana, but they also scream Valentine's to me. They remind me of the little candy hearts. And so, it just makes me smile every time I work on them. So, aren't those so cute and fun? So again, vanilla socks, 56 stitches, 20 row 2x2 rib for the cuff, 60 rows for the leg, 55 for the foot, and then I just used the mini for the heels, toes, and cuff this time on this pair, and I am loving them. So again, the maker is Mandy's Makings, and this is on her sock base, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. I started these. I didn't write down when I started them. I started these on Friday last week. So that would have been Friday, January 10th. Yes. And so I have one sock done and I am this far into the sock, and I should hopefully get these done this weekend. We have sports starting back up, so we have lots of sports scheduled for this weekend, and football. So my goal is to get these done. I had a trip to Canada earlier this week, and so I ended up finishing this sock on my way to Canada and then started this sock on the plane ride home from Canada. So this was about 2.5 hours of knitting. Um, and then I'm also utilizing my beautiful stitch marker that came with my Winnie the Pooh box. And that maker, I don't know if I still have it or not. I think it's over by the couch. Yeah. Um, so yes, that is my first official whip for 2025. And I think that covers that one. So let's talk about my Advent. So one of the Advents I had gotten in 2024 was the Dragon Horde Yarn and Yarn Cafe Creations final year for the Harry Potter Advent. I have gotten this Advent for the last three, four, one, two, three, 4 years. One of the years I never even opened it, so it's still sitting all nicely packaged in its box in this cabinet down here behind me. The other ones I knit two adventurer wraps out of, and I started an adventurer wrap with this year's. I got through half of day 6, so 1 through half of 6 on the wrap, and then I just couldn't keep up. It was too much knitting every day along with keeping up with the Advent socks. And so what I decided to do is flip it a little bit. I am going to finish that. That will probably be one of the next whips that I finish. But I still wanted to knit with the yarn. And so what I did is I took the first 5 days and I started making a My Cozy Memories blanket out of them. This blanket pattern is by Shelley Dupont of Polka Dot Creek yarn. And I have started another one of these blankets with the July Yarn Cafe Creations My Little Ponies, and then started adding my Monsters Inc. 31-day countdown to Halloween box to it. This one is going to be strictly Harry Potter. Um, I know that there's a lot of controversy around Harry Potter. I'm not an advocate for J.K. Rowling in any kind of way, but I love the world and I can't help it. I can't help it. I love the world so much. And the makers that I'm supporting are not supporting her directly, but I love the world and I love the makers and I love the creativity that comes out of that. And so I'm not sorry about that. Nonetheless, I have gotten through 23 of the Advent colors. I am on 24. I just started it this morning, and hopefully I can finish it today. And I will have all 24 colors of last year's Advent in here. And then I know for certain, based off of days 1 through 5 that I completed on the wrap, I will have enough yarn to finish off the wrap. And I'll probably still have 3 to 5 ounces left of yarn with what I already put in. And so my intent with that little bit of scraps is to potentially make a pair of socks out of them. Just some scrappy fun socks. So this whip is in the middle, so I don't want to lose that yarn. This one's going to be a little bit hard to show, so I will try my best. What I ended up doing is starting with 12 colors for the row. Excuse me. And then I have 2 rows done once this last color is done. So I'll show it in blips here. So that's where I started with my little progress keeper there. It's a little yarn ball. I think that's by Mount. No, I don't know who that's by anymore. I'll have to look it up. It was part of the Pigskin knit along. So I'll figure that out. Let me pull it back so it's not quite so dark in your face here, but there's like 6 of the colors here, and then 6 more, and 6 more, and then our last 5 when I cast on. Right here is my cast on for the last colorway here. And so it's this nice big long beautiful blanket. So it spans out. It's kind of cozy, at least for one person. I didn't necessarily want it to be that big. So like I said, I have 3 more Advent sets to use. And then I was going to go through all of that right here is my scraps. So I'm gonna go through and pick out all of the Harry Potter colorways. I know there's some Macmillan Fiber Co. in there from like an herbology countdown. There's Freckled Whimsy in there. And I think I have a few more makers in there with some Harry Potter. And then I have a few from Home Sabine House that I've been collecting over the last few. I have 2 more skeins on the way from them, by the way, for their Happy Birthday Hogwarts colorways. But I have 2 up there that I'm looking at right now. And then a bunch of other lovely self-striping, lots of Freckled Whimsy from the Spells and Things Magical Mischief colorways, club colorways. And so this is the final color. That is pretty accurate. It's kind of like a coffee feeling look. And so when that's in, that's in. And those are like my main focus right now. Those little miter squares are surprisingly bringing me a lot of joy. And so between the sock and that, I actually have a hard time picking what to work on. So I'm really trying to make sure I like at least do 30 minutes of the sock because I've been like sucked into that blanket. So those are really like my popular whips that I have that I'm wanting to pick up and work on right now. Okay, we're getting there. I don't want to suck you all in with the yarn that's been acquired. So I'm just going to give a little highlight on a couple of things. I was really thinking about my yarn purchasing over the past year. I had a lot of opportunities where we went to Alaska, we went to London. I really fell in love with some new makers. And so it doesn't feel like I went overboard, but I like looking at the wall and I also want to knit it, right? And I think this is the way people are feeling. So I decided that I needed to be a little bit more selective on what I was doing. So I really love Mama Jess Knits. I love her colorways and I love her yarn. I've commented on that before. It just feels so light and airy on my feet when I knit up her yarn as socks. So I'm really loving her base. Hold on, I just dropped something. Okay. And so I haven't ordered her February colorway yet. I want to, but I'm like yelling at myself internally. So I haven't done it yet. It's still open for purchase. So I still have time. But I did back in December, I ordered her January colorway. And it's called Cozy January Day. And the mini is called Chocolate. And this is on her sock weight yarn, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. And it's kind of like soft pink and purple with green and burgundy and just I really like this one a lot. That's actually true to representation right there. It's beautiful. So Jess, you did an amazing job on this one, which is making it very hard for me to not order February. So that order will probably be coming soon. Keep up the awesome work. Um Then these were spur of the moments, but I really enjoyed them. And I haven't seen, I don't think I have any this way. And so I thought it would be fun. There is a local dyer last weekend. Yep, last weekend I went to Distaff Day in Orlando with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, where we sit around and knit all day, and it was fantastic. There was a bunch of vendors there, and String Theory Colorworks was there. They are strictly self-striping yarn, and they have so many fun colorways, but I've never seen anybody, and maybe it's out there, I just haven't come across it, that does self-striping yarn on a Stellina base. And they had it, and I couldn't I couldn't tell myself no. So I got their dispersion colorway, and it is like Laffy Taffy, or even water taffy, like rainbow. And then the really cool thing about what they do is on their labels, they tell you how many rows of each color you will have to knit. And so, and then all of their yarn skeins come with, and their markers are amazing because they fit perfect on US 1 needles, but they all come with a marker. And so that was the first one. And then this next one, how come this is a different base? It does say it's a different base, doesn't it? It says more yardage. So this base, I didn't even say, is 84% superwash merino, 16% stellina. So you can, I mean, you can see the stellina in there. Okay, and then colorway number 2 is called W49B. This one, I walked past their little, they had like this little swatch book of all of their colorways knit up. This one is self-striping, but then in between it has a black row with white speckles in it. It's so fun. It's like Milky Way-ish or whatever. So this colorway is W49B. This is a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. And yeah, there definitely is a difference in the stellina on this one. It's not as prominent, but you can still see it. But look at that, like the richness there. And so you can see in the black where there's like the white blips right here, those are definitely speckles. And so I am very excited for those self-striping socks to be made. And then last but not least, the only club that I have signed up for this year, I jumped on the Row One bandwagon. I love watching the crazy sock lady knit up her scrappy Row One socks. And so I've decided that that will be my goal, is to knit one pair of scrappy Row One socks at least once a month. So I will have 12 pairs of those, and that will count toward my new 2025 goal of 25 pairs in 2025. So you can follow along on Instagram. I generally am very good about at least posting final projects, but I try to post here and there on Instagram. I'm not as good about my daily life on Instagram. Sometimes I'm not even able to get on Instagram in the day. So I try as best as I can, especially on the weekends. I try and like give little blips of what's going on or where I'm at in my knitting on the weekend. But I do use my hashtag 25 for 2025. And so follow along, knit along with me. Maybe I should turn this into a true knit along with like a prize at the end. I'm going to sit on that. I'll get back to you on the next episode if we do that, and then you can join in. The goal would be 25 pairs in 2025. Mama Jess and I are keeping each other accountable. I do need to check in with her. She had some goals for knitting a certain pair of socks this year too, so I should check in to see where she's at. But Back to my row one acquisition. I did not take these out of the package, so I apologize for the crinkles. They are really cool. What they do is, if you don't know about row one yarn, they give you a new dyer every month. I've never heard of this dyer, so I'm excited to use this yarn. I got the sock base. I do believe they might have DK too, but I just do the sock weight. And they actually wind up the minis for you already, so you don't even have to do anything. You get 10 colors, 10-gram minis, and this month is Pearl Talk. And so this is all of the fun, lovely colorways. And so this will be another pair of socks once I finish up the ones that I'm on. And so you can follow along with me on that adventure with row one. Their club is still open. You can join at any point in time, and you can also cancel at any time. So if you're interested in doing that as well, I highly encourage it, and you can join in on all of that fun. And so that wraps up acquisitions for me. I have sprinkled in quite a bit of life happenings already, but needless to say, 2025 has already started off with a lot of work. The kids' sports are going on. We started, back at school last week. Yep, that sounds right. Last week. Work trips thrown in, have more work trips coming up probably. Spent a lot of December traveling between work in Michigan, Michigan twice within like 3 weeks of each other for Thanksgiving, and then we went just before Christmas. So that's been a lot, but it's good. It's all good. We just wrapped up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season. They sad on Sunday. They were eliminated from the playoffs, but that means that I get to go and root for probably the Detroit Lions. Um, and then let's see. Uh, Other than that, yeah. I don't have any particular shows I'm like knee deep in at this point in time. Actually, I take that back. We are watching the new Dexter series, where it like kind of portrays him before the main series, and we are loving that. So we're watching that weekly. And then I am reading Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune right now, um, as well as, what is the name of that? On Audible, I am listening to, it's like the final wrap up. It's like a whole bunch of like mini stories of the Inheritance games. Um, I'll drop a link below. I'm actually really loving it. You kind of like get a section of like one like person, and then it goes into like another story from the books. So you've had to have kind of followed along all of the books because it pulls snippets from through the three books that were done prior and kind of elaborates in mini stories on like a side story. So those have been really fun to listen to in the car on my way to and from work. And I have picked up my quilting a little bit more. My mother-in-law and I are trying to do 8 quilt squares a month so we can finish this 100 squares in the year book, and I'm using all of my Tula Pink yarn for it. So by the end of the year, I will hopefully have a beautiful Tula Pink quilt. And when do I have time? I don't, but it's okay. I just tell myself I can do it. And so I'm actually really loving that too, getting the sewing machine back out. It's actually making me want to knit a few more bags, even though I have so many, but I love them too. And so, yeah, now that I am just rambling on, I'm sure you're sick of it. I will wrap this up. If you enjoyed this episode and any of my future episodes, my past episodes, don't forget to like and subscribe so that way my future episodes you will get notified of on YouTube. It makes YouTube happy when you do all of that stuff. I said that I was going to do a giveaway once we reached a certain number of subscribers, and we are still hanging on. So let's pick up the subscriberships. I will catch up with you on the next episode. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will talk to you soon. I promise this time. All right, have a good weekend. Bye.